Hey folks, check that out. So with the river rising and all of this grass coming down in that quantity, what bait's it gonna throw? I don't think it's gonna be this with the treble hooks. I even think that the spinnerbait would just be constantly fouled. The answer that I came up with the other day, and we're going to talk more about it today, is this, the 7-inch Scented Jerk Shad. And I'm going to rig it both weightless, and I've actually molded some weights on there. I'm going to play around with different colors. Yeah, I'd like to thank my wife for letting me use her nail polish. Got some red and chartreuse. Maybe fish one bare, fish one black. The pearl is working. I'm also going to see if they want to chill on some bubble gum. The decision to rig it weighted or weightless really comes down to how high in the water column you want it to be fished. Although with the weighted I can ski it, and we'll talk about what skiing one of these really entails a little bit later. But the most important, and I'm going to rig this bubblegum one on the weightless hook, the most important thing is that you rig it straight. So there's going to be a mold line right in the center there. You want to hit that right in the center with the hook point. And you only want to go as far as, and you may not even need to go that far, but as far as the turn in the hook. This is a 2/0, and then we're going to turn out the chin, and where that comes out, I'm going to show you. That is not centered. That's not good. Fix it. That is going to lead to spiraling and corkscrewing and line twist. So I'm going to back it up. Because it's a LazTech, I can do this again and again and again until I get it right. But in through the center of the nose, centered on that mold line, and you can look at this little slit down the middle as sort of a guide, and it's not quite there. Many times as you want. The LazTech, it's very forgiving. You gotta go a little bit further to the right. That one's centered, okay? See how it's centered? Critically important. And I'm gonna bring it past this, and it's the grip pin hook, right? I'll bring it past that little thing there, and then I'm gonna lay it sideways and see, hey, how does this, where does that hook want to come up into that little cavity? And I'm gonna make sort of visual mark, and it's gonna go straight through there, come straight out the top, and it's not bunched up, it's not curved, it's on there straight. Straight rigging is the most important thing on fishing these. I'm gonna go ahead and start fishing it fast in the weightless bubblegum color. We're gonna get into these grass islands up here and really trace as close to those edges of the grass islands as possible. I really want it as close as we can get it to a current seam and then the grass edge at the same time. So a pretty logical question is, why not walk the dog with it? You absolutely can, but what I'm going for here is something that just strains a lot of water quickly, and any deviation, which each of those little side twitches are deviations from going straight and fast on the surface. What straight and fast on the surface gives you, for one, is a better hookup percentage. They can track it no problem in clear water. When you start doing this, you may think, hey, I'm getting them excited. And yes, if they're keyed in on that sort of movement on a particular day, by all means do it. But everyone does it. And very few people fish a bait like this straight and on the surface. So it's something I don't see very often. It's also something that they can track well, and something that in clear water, you know, they see it, they know it's there. And because it's moving through so fast, that is a strike trigger. You know, if it's a now or never proposition, those bigger fish that see a bigger bait are gonna go after it. Now, to ski the weightless scented jerk shad, and I'm using the 7-incher, you're gonna cast it out there, flip the bail before it touches down, keep your rod tip up. Rod tip up is critical because it keeps the nose of the bait up. It's gonna be a little bit different presentation than what most people would think. Most people are gonna wanna walk the dog. Don't walk the dog. Let it run straight, nose up at a constant speed. It is a clear water presentation. It's very subtle, and it moves big fish. So this presentation isn't necessarily the one you want to employ where there's white water or just a lot of commotion in general. This sort of slick surface where it's pretty easy for them to see it coming is perfect for it. And really, that sort of slick surface right there, where they could be tucked in right above that log. A jackhammer, a spinnerbait, it's almost like it's too much. So this isn't a one-size-fits-all sort of presentation. When I get to some white water, I'm gonna put this down and I'm gonna pick up a spinnerbait, a jackhammer, a crankbait, something that creates a little bit more commotion than this does. All right, first one on it. Ooh, you're excited. You want to come around there? Thank you. We're gonna take a look at where this guy was when we hit it. Get in here. So the really exciting part about this is that I got to watch it all go down. Again, slick water is the best place to do this, totally weightless and on top. And because it was slick water, I got to watch him rock it out from whatever that obstruction is. I'm gonna let him breathe. Right up there, and I'm bringing it, I was probably 30 feet out in front, and I'm bringing it straight in, and I see the reverse wake come rocketing up towards it, and I kill it, and he blasts it, and my line starts taking off. So that is what you want to do. That was fun. So somewhere right in here is where that first fish came from. It's, I don't know if it's showing up in video, but it's only about the length of my paddle, a little bit more, maybe up to the drip ring, and there's no real structure here. There's nothing that exciting. He might have been back here along this grass edge and come rocketing out, but this is typical of where this bite occurs. You know, they hang out in places that I refer to as laminar flow, meaning just totally flat, nothing straight current, that's gentle current over a flat bottom. This is, you know, this is a perfect application. How you catch them? I see minnows jumping up there. We got to get up there and get on them. But laminar flow is usually really hard to catch fish out of unless you're doing finesse presentations, and this is a power fishing presentation that works in laminar flow. Now, one thing that you can do to make sure that they see it right off the bat is what I call skip it and rip it. And the 7-inch Scented Jerk ShadZ skips very well. And I don't just do the ripping it, but that jump that initial skip in and then jump creates a lot of commotion, and then you go into the straight, even, do nothing, just bring it straight back in, retrieve. But skipping it initially gives it, you know, make sure that everyone looks, every fish in that area is aware that something arrived. So we've had a little bit more turbidity come down because the river is coming up some, and I decided to switch to the weighted one. You know, I have an 1/8 ounce, kind of a belly / keel weight on this one. And what this does is it gets it right below the surface. And in order to do that, I keep my rod tip down instead of up. And that's down there kind of slithering like a snake. It is, you know, it is coming through just about as fast as skiing it, but instead of nose up on the surface, it's about a foot below the surface, and it's moving pretty quick. So when you need a totally obvious presentation, like I do on this current seam, in deeper water where that mud line is starting to form, putting the Scented Jerk Shad on a jackhammer is going to be as noisy as it gets. Everyone will know exactly where it is during the entire length of the retrieval. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I'm going to let him take me back down through here. I switched back to, oh, you're big. You got a big old head. All right, come down in this eddy with me. You're going to go in my net. So I had the weighted one, and then I switched back to the weightless one because I got into that slick water. Oh, you're big. That slick water calls for the weightless in there. Yeah, the weightless presentation. Look at that tank. And I get to see him eat. I really got to see this fish come up and smash it. Nice, you know, really nice hookup on that. You like chewing bubble gum, huh? Do you like the bubble gum? All right, we're gonna let this absolute tank of an 18-inch Susquehanna smallmouth back in the water. Say thank you, sir or ma'am. Probably ma'am. You'll bite my thumb for playing. And then we're gonna look at the progression of aggression. Progression of aggression. I just said that. I like that. So this is what I caught that one on, and it's the weightless bubblegum color. I don't know that the color matters that much. I just like the idea of thinking they're chewing on bubblegum. But this one skied on the surface, nose up, moving straight and quiet. Now, as you move towards this one, it has the keel weighted hook. This one has a little more action. It does the side to side. It does the wiggle as it comes through the water. And there's a little bit of thump associated with that. I'd say in between would be, you know, putting one on a spinnerbait, but this is the amped all the way up, full speed, 3/4 ounce jackhammer. Everything knows exactly where this is the whole time. So muddier water, white water, windy conditions, subsurface, maybe a little bit of windy conditions, maybe a little bit more interesting current dynamics, a little bit of, you know, current seams, but not necessarily white water. And then this one is for those laminar flow areas, those slick spots upstream from the riffles where the bottom is just totally flat. That laminar flow that I was talking about earlier. So the progression of aggression, you know, top to bottom, subtle, a little more obvious, totally obvious. Which one are you going to throw? I've had all three of them laying up here on the front, and I've adjusted it. I fished the jackhammer out there, didn't get anything, moved into this water up here, and got one on the least aggressive one. All right, now that we've talked about that progression of aggression in terms of how you rig the 7-inch Scented Jerk Shad, let's go back and take a look at that spot to help you visualize the kind of place that I do want to target with that weightless presentation. All right, closer look, little gravel bar, current coming on that side, slamming into that side of it. Current seam right here. Nice shade there. Of course he liked that log jam. There's a boulder right there. And in the background there's a creek coming in. All kinds of stuff for that big smallmouth to be happy. So one thing I will note, when you're making this many casts, your fluorocarbon leader is going to take a beating, and I'm lucky I caught that one in time. This one's coming unraveled. For that reason, I may actually go with a direct connection. If you do go with a leader, it may be smart to have it be a really short leader. This one is probably 3 feet, and that was enough for this this line to take a beating, and I'm going to retie it. So the biggest advantage of this presentation is that it's fast and that it covers a lot of water very fast. It's a bait that you can cast a great distance. You can skip it into all sorts of stuff. And it has a very good hookup percentage when they do swat at it. But I'm going to tell you, you should continue to move fast if you're not getting those bites right off. You know, if you're locking onto a spot saying, I know there's a fish there, and you put 6 casts on the same, you know, grass edge or eddy, stop. Just give it 1 or 2 and keep moving. The ability to keep moving upstream with the Torqeedo is something that really helps me with this. It keeps me hands-free, but you have to commit to power fishing. You have to commit to keep moving. Even if a spot looks really good, you know, your highest percentage cast is the first. They kind of go down from there. So if you hit one spot, you know, once, and you think, I really think there's someone in there, give it a second one, but don't give it a third. Just keep moving. That is going to allow you to cover all sorts of water, and you're really just sampling. You're quickly sampling lots and lots of water. That really is the strength of this presentation. So with this wind sort of making it unmanageable to throw the weightless one, and I've thrown the jackhammer. The jackhammer actually had 2 or 3 fish hit the side of it and not get hooked. So I'm gonna create a little bit more flash. I'm gonna take one of my twin spin spinnerbaits and maintain that very big profile. So here's the twin spin with a whole lot of flash here. See if that gets them. I mean, it's just tweaking the progression of aggression. But we're staying with this big profile. I'm gonna have an easier time casting this because I've got a spinnerbait head attached to the front of it. I could go with a swimbait head, but I don't know. I like the looks of that. Yeah. Come here, you like the chandelier. This guy slashed, and I missed him a second, you know, right just a moment ago. Kept peppering that area with cast, and he said, yep, I was excited for that. Oh yeah. So Marty has joined me, and he's over on the other bank right there, and he's hooting and hollering because he's had a number of them slash at it, and got this one to eat. Yeah, that's a good one. It's, you know, I was skiing them. Yeah, skiing them generally, I just feel better skiing them than I do swimming them. When you ski them, you actually see the hit. because it's on the surface. When it's swimming underneath the surface, I think they can swat at it, and you don't know it. But I knew it when he hit the first time. Went back in for the second shot, and it's a heavy fish. That right there is from the bait spiraling. You try to keep it from doing it, but it's inevitable. I'm gonna just cut it out. Yeah, the best way to deal with it is to keep that nose of the bait up and running straight, not twitching, darting. Just let it ride straight. Rig it straight, let it ride straight. All right, second one over 18 today. You don't get a lot of bites with it, but they're exciting bites, and they are big fish bites. All right, you ready to see where that fish was? It's right behind me. You got some ideas? What do you think? Head of that grass island? Yeah, somewhere in there. So I casted maybe not right at the head of it, but a little bit above it. And you know, you could absolutely see that wake coming at it, and he smashed it right in this current lane, about 20 feet in my direction. Heads of grass islands are just target them all summer long. It's the transition from, I don't even want to say deeper water, but like 2 foot deep up into like 4 inches, where that goes from 2 feet to really just the head of it. They just lay in that transition facing into the current, and things that buzz in front of them, they check them out and they eat them. There's a transition where these fish are not on the upstream side of the grass islands or ledge rock or whatever. They're on the downstream side. That has not happened yet. I mean, I'm sure that they're in both places at different times during the day, but most of the big fish that I've seen as of late, that I've gotten to hit, have been upstream of whatever object it is. And that's, you know, that's what you have all summer long. Our water temps, I don't know. I think I talked to somebody 2 days ago that said, yeah, that cold snap had them down to water temperature down to like 60 degrees, which was as low as it's been in a while. But it'll cycle and it'll come back up. This sunlight for sure keeps it bumped back up, and you know, 60 degrees, they're happy. They're happy being, you know, where they are on the upstream side of these grass islands.